Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Colony Drop, a Gundam podcast. My name is Brian, my co-pilot is Yzak, and this is a podcast where we talk about anything and everything related to the Mobile Suit Gundam franchise. The anime, the movies, the models, the perfectly designed Gundam food that looks exactly like a Haro, or those overpriced Char-branded jeans. You name it, we do it all. On this week's episode, we conclude our review of the 2002 TV series Mobile Suit Gundam SEED. I still can't believe Gundam SEED is almost 20 years old. Can you? We'll pick up right where we left off last week with the characters, the mecha, and our overall thoughts on the series. So, for the preservation of our blue and pure world, let's get back to it. So let's talk about the characters, Yzak. How about our main character, Kira Yamato?
Oh, Kira. I'm going to say Amuro had way more personality because Amuro was more realistic in that he was really just kind of looking out for, trying to survive. He was in survival mode from day one. Kira pretty quickly starts like spouting off sort of, little tidbits of fortune cookie wisdom about, helping people and kindness and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I always thought that kind of earned him his name from a lot of the fans, Kira Jesus Yamato. And not in a good way. So
I feel like he's less flawed than Amuro.
Less flawed and also more bland.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's kind of what happens if you have less flaws, right? Maybe as a character, you become a little bit more bland. I mean, he didn't really have any, out of these first 24 episodes, I didn't dislike Kira, but he also didn't really have many flaws to make him super interesting, other than that like one outburst when he got really mad at Sai about Flay. That was very out of character. Yeah, but I mean, he was kind of... he might not have been thinking with his brain. Let's say that, as they say. So that might have been why he was rushed to defend her, even though he does eventually see how kind of nuts she was. Yeah, she gets progressively nuttier. I don't blame her though, because she watched something so traumatic and horrible. Her father was in that capital ship. She watched it get blown up. She was so desperate she pulled a gun and was ready to kill somebody. She's been through a lot, she's her mind is like a broken eggshell that's being held together by tape. So no matter how you handle it, it's still fragile. See, I don't know. I despise Flay's character much more than Quest Pariah. How dare you? Wait, more than Quest? Oh, you just like her more than Quest? Wow. Yeah. She just seems so nuts. Oh my god. I think this is our last episode. You heard it here, folks. Yeah, that's my opinion. I think Flay is worse than Quest. Speaking of Flay, Kira's one of the only Gundam protagonists that is clearly shown to have like a sexual relationship with another character. Yeah, well, I would say so obviously, right? Yeah. Like in Origin, we saw Amuro. One of the funniest scenes I thought was Amuro and what's her name? God, Frau Bo. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I was about to say Ramius. I was like, no. Amuro and Frau. If you remember in Gundam Origin, Temray comes home and like Frau's leaving the house, and he was like, "Oh, like I don't know, hi Frau," and she was like, "Hi, you should like spend more time with Amuro or something." and then Temray goes into the house, and like Amuro's like, I think it's asleep or something, like in his underwear or just walking around in his underwear, and he was like, "Come on, you should at least clean up the place and like put on underwear if you have girls over." Or something. Put on clothes, pants. Oh, Mr. Ray. Yeah. Too much time in that lab. But yeah, there's not too many, even in like more recent series, right? It's pretty rare. I mean, Mika and what's her name got it on, but I don't remember them actually showing much of anything, only saying, Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what I'm saying. This one was the most explicit. Yeah, and maybe it caused them some controversy back in the day when it got released. Actually, it did. It did. Yeah. Here's the little tidbit that I found. The controversy, everybody. So in one of the episodes, the 16th episode, they do show Kira getting out of bed with Flay, and apparently it got complaints filed. People were upset that it would be shown during daytime, or at least when children would not be in school, so they clearly would have access to watch it. So not good for for Sunrise. So don't anger the fans.
Yeah. But Flay is in a very weird headspace by the end of these 24 episodes. At this point, she watched her father die, as you said. Her fragile psyche has driven her to sort of give her body to Kira at any point in order to comfort him, to make sure that he kills as many Zaft as possible. But she says that she will never forgive Kira for letting her father die. He did probably foolishly promise her that everything would be okay during that battle, and she took that literally.
Yeah, she goes very, very Cersei Lannister from Game of Thrones, very trying to be like a little chess master, like motivating Kira at the same time, not liking him at the same time, wanting to kill coordinators at the same time, just trying to survive.
Yeah, all kinds of crazy going on there. So bad move, Kira. But how about Mu LaFlaga?
Mu would be like a great friend, wouldn't he? Because like he's laid back. He's a really cool pilot. He's like a loyal and supportive friend. I can't say enough good things about Mu. He's a really cool guy.
Yeah, Mu's one of my favorite characters. Or he probably was my favorite character first time I watched Gundam SEED. Curious to see if that'll hold up during this rewatch. He's a chill character, great pilot. I think his story really hasn't been told yet in these first 24 episodes, so I think we're going to get that in the back half. But I think he's a great addition to the cast. It really balances out all of the teenage angst, right? I think you need that. You can't have all the pilots being these 18, 19-year-olds.
Right. He's pretty much like the big brother on the ship. He's like Bright was kind of the forced upon young father, but Mu's the big brother.
Yeah, that's fair. How about his partner in crime, Miriu or Muru Ramius?
Ramius, she's a good character too. I like that she's competent, but at the same time, you can tell she's struggling with a lot of stuff. Like she really feels like she's in over her head, but she's doing her best. So,
yeah, she was put in a sort of an untenable position, right? I mean, she had to take over the Archangel, and I thought that part was interesting. If you remember, I believe her and Mu are the same rank, and Mu was like, "Well, I don't want to be the captain, so you can do it." So she was well, I guess I'll do it.
Yeah. I mean, also the fact that he's an ace pilot, it's kind of like a coin toss, right? It's like, I mean, well, that decides it. There's no way he should be on the bridge. What are they gonna do? Put her in his fighter?
Yeah, his Mobius Zero. Yeah,
it'd be a joke.
Yeah. I agree though. I mean, she's not super headstrong. You can tell she struggles with every decision, probably too much actually, especially compared to Nataro, right?
Oh yeah. Nataral's cool because she has, I'd say, stronger convictions than Ramius. Mm-hmm. She's not necessarily more by the book. I think she's more like by the victory, or the ends justify the means in a way.
Yeah.
But she was. It looked like the moment like Ramius took like got a broken arm, she would like just step forward and say, "All right, I'm in charge now."
She's just waiting to pounce.
Yeah, she's like, "We're gonna do things my way, and things are gonna be done way better."
Ramius had one of my favorite moments of the show so far. Anyway, I forget exactly what had happened, but she was down or something, and she put her head on her desk, and Mu tried to cheer her up by like patting her on the back. And without raising her head, she goes, "Mu, that's sexual harassment." And he takes his hand off and he goes, "Is it?"
I don't know. I don't know how the military works.
Yeah, still holds up today, especially in today's climate. So.
Man, but that is pretty funny.
How about our Zaft boys? Let's start with Athrun.
Athrun. Well, I don't like Athrun. I don't think anybody likes Athrun. All right, so he's in the red mobile suit. He's even in a red uniform, but he's not a Char character. He's sort of this very insecure type pilot, because on the one hand, he has to fight his friend and sometimes try to kill him, and on the other hand, he's kind of trying to live up to his father's expectations. I was never too interested in what was happening whenever Athrun was around.
Yeah, I didn't think he had really done much through the first half of the show, except for the only time we really got to see Athrun was when he was trapped on that island that one night with Kigali. And I enjoyed him during that episode, but beyond that, I didn't feel like he did too much. He was kind of like there for the plot, but very just, well, I am part of Zaft, and therefore I have to fight and do these things.
Yeah, also for like, spoiler alert, everybody. His mother was at Junia 7 when it got nuked. So that's kind of the reason his dad's on such a war footing. But you don't really get any of that from Athrun. You know, like, he doesn't even really talk about it or bring it up. You know, you think, I mean, it's kind of like the polar opposite of Flay.
He only mentions it, I think, to Kigali during when they're on that island, because I think she's asking him why do you kill all these people? You're going to use your mobile suit to kill my friends and blah, blah, blah. And he says, well, my mother was on Junius 7, so suck it, basically. And to me, I think he's a little flat. His VA is also, he has like a weird accent in the dub. How was his voice in the first dub? I guess we should say that Yzak has watched both dubs now.
Yeah, I have. I don't remember it being that different. There's one character I remember whose voice is very different, but he hasn't appeared yet. So we'll talk to him later. Probably one of my favorite characters. Brian knows who, but we'll get there later.
What about the other boys in the team? Yzak?
Yzak is he's too much of a hothead and a firebrand. He's arrogant and he's angry that Kira keeps defeating him, or he's not able to kill Kira, and he's just constantly angry. Like he's gonna give himself some ulcers or something. He's not likable either, because I don't really see any redeeming qualities from him. He's just kind of an angsty, angry pilot. The other one's Nicole, though, is he's kind of not a softie, but he clearly would rather be playing the piano than being in a cockpit. But his dad's in the government, so he kind of had to join the military, I guess. Dirka softens over time, but he's kind of Yzak's shadow at this point.
Yeah, he's closer to Yzak than Nicole.
Yeah, anybody really. Yeah, the team's pretty much split in two, right?
Yeah.
It's Athrun and Nicole, who are like pretty much moderate personalities, right? Mm-hmm. And then Dirka and Yzak, who are much more gung ho.
Yeah. And how about the namesake, Raoul Le Creuset?
Oh boy, the mannerisms that he has in his new voice actor, they're pretty close to what we already had in the original dub. He's, I wouldn't say he's effeminate, but he's sort of a soft-spoken kind of whimsical officer, right? The way he talks, and I guess the pace of his sentences, it's, I don't know, very, very much a gentleman in war, kind of,
Yeah, but he also comes off as very much, right away that he's like evil. And I'm not sure, because like if you're trying to be Char always came off as maybe conniving, or you always knew he had a plan. But I don't know that you ever thought Char was completely evil. I don't know if Rao should be that evil. I don't know. I'm not sure.
In these first few episodes, I didn't really get the whiff of him being evil just yet.
Oh,
just
really?
Very
Okay.
much almost to the point of being cocky, a very self-assured officer that, like to mentally stay one step ahead of his enemies.
Yeah.
Yeah, he likes to hear the sound of his own voice too. Whenever they're in front of that map they meet at like 5 times a day.
The Le Creuset map meeting.
Yes,
it's a recurring Creuset Outlook invite.
Digital map where they talk about what the enemy's obviously going to do.
And he deduces their plans. He
deduces their plan. They already have the graphics already booted up to show like exactly how things are going to unfold.
How about Athrun's fiancée, Lacus?
Oh God, I don't have enough time to go into how much I don't like her. It's just such a poor character design too, because they really tried, as colorful as the series is, and it's really colorful, maybe too colorful. Lacus really has like a weird design. Like, I don't know. She looked like she just got pulled from like an anime about like these witches that like run a bakery or something, right? Because she's like so bubbly and colorful, and I know she's a pop star in the series, which is its own weirdness. God, that was such a weird choice too for the storyline, but it does kind of divert the tone of the, we're gonna make this a 1-year war, but it's gonna be serious and about like, death and violence, and we're gonna show real war and all that stuff again, and nukes and innocent people and all that, and there's gonna be a pop star with pink hair.
Boom, pink-haired pop star.
So no, not a Lacus fan. Don't like the new pronunciation even more, but what can you do? They put her in here to be like the little walking angel of peace.
For
more
sure.
Naive than
Peace
a person
princess.
would be.
The pop star angle, is that maybe an excuse to have her sing some songs? Because she does sing at least once in the first half of the show.
It's a terrible song, isn't it?
It maybe wasn't the greatest.
No, it's not a good song.
I think her VA gave it her best shot. I think those songs are probably pretty difficult if you're trying to translate it from Japanese to English. That's an unenviable task right there.
You have to translate the song, and to change the words to make sure it rhymes.
Yeah, that's
and to make the chorus rhyme. Yeah, there's a lot going on there that could go wrong.
Yeah. But I thought actually the weirdest part of her character was how many Haros she had and how infatuated with the Haros she was. Did you find that weird?
Yeah. Did they ever tell us who made them? I don't think she did. She just bought them. Because we know that Birdie was from Athrun, right?
Oh, I thought Athrun made the Haros.
Oh, okay. Maybe. Okay, that makes sense.
I could be wrong. There's probably a Seed like mega fan out there who knows exactly where all the different colored Haros came from.
He knows which plant built it, where they were built at, the names of each Haro, their unique personalities. But I guess that makes sense that Athrun made it. But I don't know. From what it sounded like, they hadn't interacted much, if at all, even though they were in some kind of arranged marriage.
Oh, absolutely. That's the one thing, though. Even though I'm not like a huge fan of Lacousse's character, she's too good for Athrun. Like she invites Athrun to stay for dinner, and he's like, "Oh, I can't. I gotta go back." Like, what a jerk.
The good thing about insulting someone like her, though, is that like she takes it like with a smile. She's just so happy all the time.
Yeah, just a bundle of joy, that Lacousse Klein. And now I can't take her seriously with the name Lacousse.
No, it was bad enough before with the way she dresses. Now it's clownish.
You already hate Lacousse so much. I can't wait to hear your opinion of Mir Campbell.
Oh boy. Well, we'll get there too.
What about Patrick Zala?
We don't see too much of him in this half of the season, but he comes off as more one note than I remember. Very much just kind of actually, he's not in full-blown warmonger mode yet, but he's clearly the voice of war. It's clear which side is trying to push the war to keep going on Zaft's side, at least. So, and it's him. He does come off as a dad that would kind of force Athrun to join the military, though.
Yeah, absolutely. What about Kigali?
I'm not a fan of Kigali either, because she's just annoying. I don't know. It's not the tomboyish thing. It's just she says a lot of things before thinking, right? Like a lot of the time Kira stops her in her tracks because of what she said. She just is very much a mouth less than a brain.
Ouch. I actually really liked Kigali. I thought she was really funny. She had a lot of funny lines. Maybe not the smartest character. Again, driving into battle with basically a Jeep and a rocket launcher. Her friend got killed. But I thought she had a lot of funny lines. She had the why are men always surprised? She also had the when Kigali wants to fly her Skygrasper and says if she dies because the mechanic doesn't let her fly it, then she will come back and haunt his ass. I thought that was funny. How about the mecha, Yzak?
I am big into like Zeon's mono-eye design, but for some reason none of the Zaft mobile suits really pulled me in. I don't know if it's because the ridiculous fin that a lot of them have on their heads, or just the way they were animated. I kind of liked myself liking more the strike daggers.
Oh wow, okay.
But I think what they did right was some of the Gundam designs, like the Buster was cool. I thought, right?
I'd say that the 5 Gundams that were given in this show, maybe the only criticism that I have is kind of what you said earlier, that this is a very colorful show, and that colorfulness is reflected in these 5 Gundams. Like I feel like they're trying to do UC, but with like the Wing Gundam, every Gundam is unique and it has like a gimmick. Does that make sense?
Right, yeah. I mean, they kind of had to, right? Because they're like, oh, these are the prototypes. You know, okay, there's the long range one. There's the one that like, you know, transforms into like for some reason a claw. there's kind of our regular kind of one that's I guess well rounded. The cloak one.
Yeah, like the strike. Overall, I think that's a pretty good update on the RX-78 as like the flagship Gundam of your show.
Yeah.
I think that design still holds up pretty well today. Do you feel like it looks dated at all? I feel like it still looks pretty good.
Not really. Sometimes the animation overall in the series, I felt, did show a bit of its age. But the designs of the mobile suits, I think they were pretty sufficient. Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing with the strike is the Ale Striker pack, which is basically the one with like the wings. that one's kind of the only one that really matters at the end of the day. The other two are pretty forgettable. You don't see a lot of fans out there of like the Strike Sword Pack or the Strike like Buster Pack or Power Pack, whatever it's called.
Right, yeah.
The Ale Pack just gives it that silhouette that everyone knows.
Intro silhouette. The opening music silhouette that we all love. It's like wings? All right, it's hero time.
The Aegis Gundam. I always pronounce it Aegis, but the dub says Aegis. Is it? You're a history person. How do you say Aegis?
At this point, I think it's just your preference.
Yeah, okay.
Aegis, Aegis, Aegis.
Aegis. I think it's neat that it transforms into this like hardcore looking mobile armor claw thing, but those feet are pretty ridiculous, very pointy.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I mean, I don't even remember them being used in combat. It'd be cool if they were. That'd be like, oh, okay, of course. But
yeah, like he impales someone on his foot or something.
Yeah, or like, I don't know, he's locked like arms with like a Gundam, and then he like, I don't know, kind of puts it through their knee or something.
Yeah, I like that.
But no, instead they said, okay, we need a red mobile suit, and it's got to be a Gundam. So this will be our design. It transforms into a claw thing, which I don't remember even being used that much. Like maybe it once grabbed onto the Gundam in claw mode.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Very limited use, that mode. I can see why this prototype didn't go anywhere.
I know it's supposed to be red, like that's the red mobile suit of the series, but I wish it had more. I think it's too red. I wish it had more black or something, because I feel like it being all one color kind of washes out a lot of the details.
Yeah, for me it's too close to Epion. I don't know if this is the type of red they used or what, but it comes off as bland rather than eye-catching.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Yeah. It's very pointy. And yeah, I agree. Like you said, I feel like this Gundam just didn't do much so far.
Right, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't want one. I'd challenge. I mean, is anybody a fan of this Gundam? Any Aegis Gundam fans? Probably not. There's better red mobile suits out there to represent the Char or the antagonist of a series. The red pilot.
What about the Buster?
Buster I thought was pretty cool. I know it's piloted by, Dierka, and he's kind of an enemy for at least the first half. But I always thought Buster was a pretty cool design. It's essentially Gundam built around just holding one massive gun.
Yeah, to me it looks like an updated Gundam Heavy Arms.
Exactly, yeah.
The only thing I have against this Gundam is that animation of it, like putting the cannon together, gets old.
Yeah, or how it like always swings the cannon and then like gets off a shot.
Yeah,
like it only has one move.
Yeah, it's reused a lot, so that'd be the only thing I could say. But I think it looks pretty cool.
If that cannon takes a hit,
yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do, right?
That's it, right? What are you gonna do with your Gundam?
The Dual Gundam, you already know my thoughts on the Dual Gundam. I think we've covered that in previous episodes. I think this one is pretty meh.
It's kind of the worst Gundam designed. I don't get what they did to make it better than the Strike.
It seems like the Strike, but without the striker packs.
Yeah, it's much more bland. There's nothing interesting about it. Like, I'm surprised they actually made this. They could have done something different, like, I don't know, a hand-to-hand Gundam or something like that, or I don't know. Just something different they could have done. But this was a really bland result. There's nobody that's a fan of this one. I can't believe anybody would want to buy the master grade of this.
We asked last time for Dual fans to speak up, and I don't think anyone spoke up.
The silence was deafening.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's good, because there's better things to buy. This is a bland suit. Maybe that's why Yzak's angry all the time.
he got the short straw.
Yeah. It's got like a blade and then like two lasers, right? Something like that.
Yeah. Do you think that the ZAFT boys like chose their suits ahead of time, or they were just going to grab the closest one?
No, I think it was you get in there, you get the suit closest to you, and you run.
Yeah. The only thing I don't remember if it's the Dual or if I'm thinking of a different show, but I think maybe the Dual might have been like the first of the 5 made, and that's why it's so basic. But I could be wrong on that.
But that would maybe you're right. That's a good point. Yeah, this was essentially just a frame they built, and then they're like, okay, we'll need long range, we'll need stealth, and then we'll need kind of a well-rounded one.
Yeah. The Blitz Gundam, I think, is my favorite of the 5.
Really? How come?
Because it reminds me of a stealth bomber or like a Blackbird.
Yeah.
It has a cool ability. It's got a cool weapon, those like spike things. and the pilot Nicole is likable. I would build this Gundam. I wouldn't pay a lot for it, but I would build it.
Huh. It was pretty cool. I'll give you that. Just for the Mirage ability. That's what I liked. Man, I don't know why the Federation didn't do more with Mirages.
Yeah, you'd think they'd be putting that thing on everything.
Yeah, they said, okay, we lost the Gundam, but we still have Mirage colloid technology, so we're going to slap this on, like, as many things as we can. But they didn't.
Nope.
So, yeah. Instead, the plants take it, and you see it at the end of the series.
Oh, boy. On the ZAFT side, I pretty much agree with you, except for the amphibious suits.
Really?
I liked the amphibious suits. I thought those would slot well into the Zeon amphibious suits.
Oh, the GOOhNs? Yeah.
The GOOhNs and the Xeno.
Oh, yeah. The one captain used, right? The submarine captain.
Yeah, that one has like these terrifying claws. I thought that one was cool. And the GOOhNs, besides having a terrible name, it really looks like an amphibious suit, and I think that means it did its job. Or like the designer did his job. So you instantly look at that and you're like, that looks like it would go well underwater. And it does. Like it has a swim mode. It's very aerodynamic to cut through the water. Those two I thought were good. And that part of the show, I thought those were some good battles.
You got me there. Those are great amphibious designs. The only thing I didn't like about the GOOhN was that like it has to like really lift up its arm to shoot at you.
yeah. Maybe they're not the most maneuverable, but I thought those were pretty good.
It was always kind of weird how like their mono eye was at like always a weird position on what would be their face. I don't know. Zeon had better placement for the mono eye.
Maybe Zeon can give them some mono eye tips.
Probably.
The Gin or the Jin, I thought it was a respectable Zaku stand-in, but sort of clearly inferior, I guess. That I agree. That fin is like really off-putting. It's way too big.
Yeah. I think without the fin though, they probably looked at it and were like, "This is a Zaku."
Yeah, pretty much.
So they're like, "All right, we'll slap a fin on it, and then we'll make like the flying version. Have like a peacock wings."
Okay, so I did actually like the Din. That's the flying version.
Really?
I thought that looked okay. Yeah, I would build like a non-master grade version of that because they would never make a master grade. But right. I think the reason I like it is it reminds me of Storm Eagle from Mega Man X, the Mega Man X1. You ever played that game?
No.
Oh. Well, if you look up Storm Eagle.
Think so. Let me pull it up.
Yeah.
Storm Eagle. Oh my God, that is him.
See? Yeah, the designer was like, "Oh, I like Storm Eagle, so I'm gonna make a Storm Eagle mobile suit," and that's what the Din is.
Yep. It's a bird.
I just thought the wings gave it like a really nice silhouette, and we don't see many purple suits, Yzak, outside of your DOMs, so I thought that was neat. But again, I think that's like I like that one in the context of the show, like relative to all the other suits. I don't know that any of the ZAFT ones really jumped out at me, except for the amphibious ones, where I was like, that's a great design.
Yeah, nothing ZAFT really jumps out to me, even though I usually side with the space colonies. This time I was Blue Cosmos all the way, Brian.
Yeah, I'm very surprised by that, actually.
Me too. I was watching the series and I was like, okay, the plants have to be stopped.
They are out of control.
We can't let these filthy coordinators just take over Earth, Brian.
I know that Gundam SEED is maybe one of the shows that you like more than some of the others. So I had some questions for you.
Sure.
This show was sort of Gundam for the new generation. Now on the rewatch, it's been almost 20 years since this show came out now. So you'd almost need like a Gundam SEED for the new generation now, right? What would you do? Do you still feel like this is sufficient for Gundam for the new generation? Or like, what would you change? If Sunrise said, Yzak, we want you to make Gundam for the new generation, how would it differ from Gundam SEED?
Wow. I think in tone, I'd go for less colorful and a bit more serious. I think a good way that it's been done for the new generation has already been done. It was Iron-Blooded Orphans. Yep. That was an incredible series. Very well done. Very heavy in tone. Great designs. Colorful when it needed to be. A great series. I would actually adjust my opinion of Gundam SEED now that I've rewatched it again. And I don't blame the dub at all for this. I enjoyed it less, Brian, I'll say, the second time around.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I dislike it, but very much for being, 1 year war by the numbers, I liked it less this time around. Yeah, and I don't see myself watching it again soon.
Since you have watched both the dubs, well, I guess one, did you like one better than the other? And two, was it worth it to make a new dub? Because, I mean, that's very rare that a show gets dubbed twice.
I will say, no, it wasn't worth it to make a new dub. I don't know why they did it. Maybe just to sort of be able to market this already made content again, right? I don't think it improved anything. There's one character whose voice, he hasn't appeared yet. He appears in the later half. There's one character whose voice has been more matured, I'll say. But that really doesn't change anything really in the story or your perception of him. So yeah, I feel like the redub was unnecessary, and it didn't make things better or worse in how I viewed the series, since, rewatching it, I just kind of came away with the feeling that, oh, that was, when I watched that when I was younger, I really enjoyed it more.
Do you have a favorite new voice actor in the new dub?
Huh.
Like, for me, it would have to be Waldfeld, Natarl, and then probably Kigali. Even if you don't like her character, I think her voice actor does a good job. I feel like it fits her character. I don't even remember on the first watch. I don't remember Kigali being this rebellious. Maybe it's just been too long. But
you know what? Honestly, I feel like everybody's voice characters now are very close to their previous ones, except for a few characters. I'm lukewarm about any voice character changes. Yeah, I one way or the other. I don't think it's worse or better.
So that's puzzling then. I would have thought the new dub would either be because the old one was terrible, or that the new one is just so good that it blew the old one out of the water. And I think what you're saying is fairly consistent with what I've read from other people where...
Yeah. The question is why? Why was this done?
Yeah. I feel like there's mixed opinions where they're kind of just like, yeah, I mean, the new one was okay, but so was the old one.
Yeah. Nothing improved, nothing worsened.
I mean, maybe, there's probably some people that have very strong held opinions out there, so I'm not trying to speak for everybody, but it is just kind of strange. I mean, I can only think of a few shows that have two dubs. And the other ones are much, I'll say, more higher profile than Gundam SEED. Like, for example, Evangelion just got a new dub. But I would not, Evangelion is like an anime classic. I don't know if Gundam SEED is on quite the same level as Evangelion, so... No,
the original series would be in the same ballpark as far as
exactly
weight, but SEED, no. SEED is very... It's even among Gundam fans, it's kind of niche, right? It's either you enjoyed it or you didn't.
I mean, I think SEED has its... there's a section of Gundam fans that probably feel SEED is the best or their favorite. But yeah, as a whole, I agree. 0079 would be much closer on the Evangelion scale. Are there any, at least through the first 24 episodes, are there any models you would get from this show?
Oh, boy.
I know there's one, but it doesn't come till the end. So, but if you had to limit it far to this first batch.
The first batch. Wow, that's hard. That's really hard.
Or even if you didn't want one, if you had to pick one, someone was going to give you one. Sunrise was like, "Hey, you guys have a great podcast. Here's a model. Which one do you want?" Man. Which one would you choose?
I'd probably go with the Strike.
Wow, this is a first, ladies and gentlemen. Yzak picking a Gundam. Holy cow!
I was about to say a Jin, and then I was like, "Come on, that thing with the fin, that thing's not going to be able to stand up on its own."
The fin is die-cast, Yzak.
Probably. But yeah, I'd go with the Strike just because to check off like that I have a SEED one. I'd be like, okay, it's here until the other one that I want shows up.
I think I'd go with the Blitz probably, or one of those amphibious ones, the Xeno. I think that's just like diabolical looking, man. But it also has flippers, which I think is hilarious. So I know you're a big uniform guy, Yzak. What were your opinions on the uniforms in this show?
When I watched this show originally, way back when, I really liked the Earth Alliance uniforms. I think the white looks good, how they placed like the little, rank insignias and the different, symbols and emblems. I think the Earth Alliance uniforms always come off looking sharp. ZAFT comes off as way too, I don't want to say Japanese, but way too like Final Fantasy RPG, where like the uniforms are just kind of too wacky to make sense.
Yeah.
I really didn't like ZAFT's uniforms at all. They just look weird. Yeah, I'm not a ZAFT uniform guy. The flight suits themselves, I don't understand why they designed the red pilot suits for ZAFT to have like that sort of dome on the front part.
Oh,
that ugly looking mushroom tip, that bulb. But Kira's helmet, his cool little blue-white flight suit, that looks great. Even the regular ZAFT grunts in their green, their helmets are kind of cool. Very angular. That's a different take on it compared to a lot of other pilot helmets that we've seen. That's my 2 cents. What do you think?
Overall, I thought they were good. The Earth Alliance ones, I felt like they were clearly trying to be an update of the UC Earth Federation uniforms.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty successful. I'm not a huge uniform guy like you are, but even I could tell, like, okay, there's the insignia. I can see how it differs for this person versus the person standing next to him. But I agree. I thought those looked sharp. The ZAFT ones, yeah, they were a little bit more formal. I feel like some of the ZAFT people just kind of wore a lot of weird clothes. I don't know. So, yeah, ZAFT I definitely wasn't as hot on, but I agree. The Earth Federation ones, or the Earth Alliance ones, are pretty sharp. So,
yeah, I mean, even though Earth Alliance was almost all white, a few guys had blue or pink. There was a ZAFT white uniform. Le Creuset wears it, so do a few other people. But I think even if they stood next to an Earth Alliance uniform, you'd be able to tell that they clearly were from different organizations.
The one I could not take seriously was was Waltfeldt's like tiger themed flight suit.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I love everything about Waltfeldt except his suit and his flight suit.
I mean, it kind of matched his suit though.
It did. Oh, 100%. But it was like I was watching, because I think it goes back to that tone issue where you're talking about, where it's too colorful.
Right. We're gonna make a serious Gundam.
Yeah. Well, because he up to that point, he was the one who had espoused the most serious philosophy on war. But then he gets in his orange striped tiger suit and he wears his orange striped flight suit. And so it seemed to clash a little bit to me. And I think I don't know. It made me take him less seriously than I should have.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish like they put like a lampshade over it, like maybe he was suiting up and like he told his men like, oh, I'm glad I got my ridiculous one on today or something like that. Or he's like, I always thought this thing was ridiculous, but this was what I was assigned.
Yeah, or maybe like the crew got it for him or something. Yeah, that would.
Yeah, I can't refuse what my crew got me for my birthday.
I agree. Maybe this is too early to ask this question, but
do it.
There's always been like a rumor of like a Gundam SEED movie. After this rewatch, would you be excited if that was to come out?
Would I be excited if what was to come out?
Like a new Gundam SEED movie, like a third entry into the series. There was always talk about, that there would be some sort of film or some sort of new project, and it's never materialized. And I don't know if it ever will now, because I think actually the lead writer for Gundam SEED, I don't remember if she wrote Destiny as well, but the lead writer of SEED was the director's wife. And I think she passed away a few years ago, so that's actually pretty sad. But
wow.
Without her, I don't even know if they would do it. But if that was to materialize, do you think you'd find yourself excited for it? Because, Gundam SEED is approaching the 20th anniversary of the show. So it wouldn't surprise me if they do something for the 20th or the 25th anniversary, given how big of a success it was back in the day.
I would be cautiously optimistic. On the one hand, I wonder where it would go, especially with how Gundam SEED Destiny ends. I know there's, different mangas that are in Cosmic Era. I don't think I'd be too optimistic that it would be a good story, though, just because a lot of things have already been done. We did 1 Year War by the numbers. We kind of did some of Zeta by the numbers.
About half of Zeta by the numbers.
Yeah. They brought back, some of the same weapons from SEED into SEED Destiny.
Yes.
I don't know why. But, yeah, there's a certain point where you're beating a dead horse, and based on what happened in the 00 movie, I don't think it would be a good idea to, really try to force yourself to sit down here and say, okay, what would happen in a movie to wrap this all up? Wacky ideas start happening, like aliens, and then like alien invasion and all that stuff. So yeah, if it happens, I'd be cautiously optimistic, but at the same time, I'd prepare myself if it was a train wreck.
I get the feeling that you think the Gundam franchise should stay away from movies altogether. 00, that's a whole separate story.
Yeah.
F91 didn't go well.
Right.
Char's Counterattack maybe you weren't the hottest on. Not a good track record from your perspective.
No, the data backs me up. If you're a Char's Counterattack fan, that's great. But there's no way you would disagree with me that you would have loved to seen that stretched out to a 50-episode series. Same with F91. If you like F91, if you were a 00 fan, I'm sure you'd want a redo of the movie, or at least turn it into like a, I don't know, OVA or something. So yes, Gundam movies are a disservice just because you're too limited in a space opera. Gundam should be much longer than that. Star Wars couldn't be one movie. It needed to be a series to really flesh out the space opera, and Gundam's in the same boat.
Any other closing thoughts, Isaac, before we give it a first half rating?
I enjoyed this first rewatch of the first half of Gundam SEED. I remember enjoying it a lot more when I originally saw it. I would have changed some things off the top of my head. The dub was unnecessary. The redub was unnecessary. I remember being colorful, but sometimes this is too colorful, right? Like, man, it's like they dumped like a bag of Skittles on the table and said we have to use each of these colors in every single frame.
Well, on that note, one thing I did read about the show is that this was the first Gundam series to be digitally animated. Maybe it was somehow easier to use colors, and they just kind of went, crazy with it.
Maybe you're right. To their credit, though, like the computer scenes, which almost all is Archangel, right? They look pretty good. They've held up over time, I think.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not bad. But, maybe, they were all with their new tablets, kind of their new graphic design styluses, and just kind of tapping all the colors they could, because they got free reign or something.
Yeah.
But, I enjoyed this rewatch, but I remember liking it a lot more. Or maybe my tastes have just changed in time. We watched it so long ago originally, Brian. So I'll chalk it up mainly to that. But if you haven't had a chance to see Gundam SEED, the Cosmic Era isn't like 5 seasons or anything like that. There's no reason you can't just watch Gundam SEED and have a good time with it.
Yeah, I agree. So what would you give it, Isaac? So far, first half.
On my scale of 5 Haros, I would give the first half 3 out of 5 Haros. I'm sorry, 3.5 out of 3.5 out of 5 Haros. 3.5 Haros out of 5 Haros.
I think that's very similar to what I would say. I think I would give, on my 10 Haro scale, I think I would give it a 7 out of 10. I agree with you that I feel like I enjoyed it more the first time I watched it. I don't know if that's just because I've already watched this and I already know what's going to happen. Or if maybe I just remember the back half being better, and I do think the story is about to pick up in the back half from what I recall, so I'm really looking forward to that. I think something just holds it back a little bit for me. Maybe it's just too similar to the UC in certain ways, or maybe Kira is just kind of I don't want to call Kira Mary Sue.
Oh, he is,
but I mean he kind of is, right?
He's a Dudley Do Right.
Yeah.
And you know what? Before that, what you just said about being too close to the 1 year war or doing the 1 year war by the numbers, it's a bit of a double-edged sword, right? Because that can backfire on you. As great as the 1 year war was, it's kind of like saying, okay, our series is going to live up to that, and that's kind of a tall order, I feel like, because at this point the 1 year war has been so fleshed out by side stories that if you really don't give us something good, you give us something kind of mediocre and maybe moving at too quick of a pace or not hitting the right notes, which sometimes Gundam SEED does, it becomes not the favorite series of your collection.
So there you have it, folks. We're in the average camp so far, but I think maybe the story will pick up. We'll see. But I agree with Isaac. I think if you have not seen this show, it's still worth a watch. Yeah, I'm excited for the back half, Isaac.
Brian, while we're on the topic, there's one thing we didn't talk about, and that's naturals and coordinators.
Oh, yes.
What do you think about filthy coordinators, Brian?
Those filthy coordinators. Yeah, I had the same question for you, but worded slightly differently.
Oh, hit it.
Which was, do you think coordinators is a good replacement for the new type concept?
Huh.
And I actually think it's a good idea.
Interesting.
If you're trying to do UC again, but not use new types, even though, spoilers, new types do come into SEED, I think the natural versus coordinator thing is a fine way to go about it. Was the execution there? Sometimes. Maybe not the whole time. Are you asking which side I'm on?
Sure.
Well, Junior 7 was a bit of a dick move. I don't know that I like one side over the other. And
so
I think that
Orb.
Yeah, maybe.
You'd live in Orb.
But I think that's also, maybe that's a weakness in the show. I guess as a viewer, shouldn't the show give you enough to make a decision of which side you want to root for?
Yeah, they really, as we'll find out later, they really kind of take the middle path or the third option, right?
Yeah.
I feel like the coordinators as a whole were, yeah, it does kind of explain why Kira's so good, although we find out there's more to Kira than that. But at the same time, it's like, well, what about Mu? He's clearly a regular human, and he's great at what he does. And also, there's ZAFT pilots that are coordinators and trained, unlike Kira, and they still get blown away.
Right, yeah. Something doesn't add up if you're keeping score.
In a way, it was kind of a way of saying, all right, our faction will be composed of genetically engineered people, and they live in colonies, so they're kind of the Zeon stand-in. But the fact is that they were, essentially refugees from Earth because they were all discriminated against. And then the issue, though, on the other side isn't that everyone in the Earth Alliance is just, a raging bigot. It's just that for a lot of them, it's like, well, we have to kind of defend Earth and our countries, so we have to fight ZAFT. Who cares about the coordinator stuff? And the vast majority of them even almost every officer, actually every officer on the Archangel is pretty lukewarm about coordinators. It doesn't really seem to feel one way or the other. Flay's pretty much against them, but she's not an officer, and she's only been in the military for a few days. So
that's true. Yeah, maybe it's because I don't know. 0079, Zeon just had a lot of passion. Yeah. And for better or worse, right? Whether you agreed with Zeon or disagreed. I don't get that here from ZAFT.
No, there's not a lot of ZAFT fans. Yeah.
Or the Earth Alliance. And I think you need it from one side.
Yeah. I don't know. The Federation always felt like they were heroically defending, right, in the UC.
Yeah.
And Zeon always felt like, just much more of a ideological vision that they had. But here it's, hey, our people were wronged and nuked, so we're going to take over part of Earth. And then the other faction's like, well, we're going to defend Earth. And then some of them are actually like, actually, we're bigots.
Am I feeling that way because ZAFT, it goes back to my question earlier, is ZAFT doing better than Zeon was? Because Zeon always had the underdog thing going for it, which is why it needs that passion to get through the war. Right? Like if Zeon's winning, does GOOhN even give that speech?
I think he does still, yeah. He would give a speech. The speeches don't stop in Zeon.
Yeah, that's true. But would it have been as impassioned?
Maybe not, because that was his brother, but...
Yeah.
I don't know. But I kind of agree with you there. There's no... Patrick Zala isn't going to give a speech to match GOOhN, right?
Yeah.
So he's too much of almost a bureaucrat, really, in the war. I agree with you. There's less of an energy level on both factions in this series.
Maybe something else that's holding me back on this show is that everyone seems to be the son of someone important or the daughter of someone important.
Ooh. Oh, I didn't even think about that.
And I just don't like that they're all in one place.
Yeah, so we have Athrun, right? We have Kigali, Lacus.
Even Nicole.
Wow. Oh, God, Yzak? That's already too many.
Yeah, and Sai and Flay are both...
Oh,
they were in an arranged marriage or potential arranged marriage as well.
Something.
And that just felt like a lot to me. I don't know.
Yeah, now that you mention it.
You can do that, I think. You can get away with one or two coincidences like that. But when you have that many, it starts to bother me a little bit. Or it just makes the cast maybe not feel quite as relatable.
That's true. I guess it kind of pulls it away from, modern warfare thing they were trying to do, right? Makes it a little bit more like, okay, of course everyone's related, and of course everyone's here at the same time and crosses path, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So slight detraction.
Yeah, well, I'm curious to see how the back half holds up to what I remember. Because I do remember feeling at the end of the show that I thought the ending was impactful, even though Seed Destiny kind of erased that impactful ending. But So I'm still excited to watch the show. And I think maybe we were a little bit down on it in the last 15 minutes or so, but still think it's a good show, and I still think it deserves your watch if you're a Gundam fan at least once.
It definitely ramps up. I'll say that. So there's a lot of good battles, a lot of good action scenes, and all that. Cool new Gundams and mobile suits and all that. It's got its flaws and it's got the parts where it shines.
All right, everybody. If you enjoyed our podcast, please leave us a review, like, comment, subscribe. And you can reach us on Twitter at ColonyDropcast, on Instagram also at ColonyDropcast, and on YouTube. So please make sure to leave a comment. Tell us if you are a Lacoste fan. Do you hate the new pronunciation as much as we do, even if it might be the more correct pronunciation? Are you a Dual Gundam fan? Do you Dual fans exist? And what models did you like from the first half of Gundam Seed? Would you buy one? If so, what would it be?
And don't forget to tell us if there's any coordinators in your neighborhood, because those filthy coordinators shouldn't be in anyone's neighborhood. All right? Right, Brian? Are you with me on this?
For a blue and pure world, Yzak.
Absolutely. I started a neighborhood watch in my neighborhood, and every week I get in front of the podium and I tell people, all right, we have to keep our eyes open. There can't be any coordinators moving into our neighborhood, all right? We don't need their coordinator faces with their coordinator food and their smelly coordinator homes moving in here. Living next to us naturals, all right? Right, Brian?
Is Flay Ulster like the head of your coordinator watch? Is she like the wife that brings like the snacks to the meeting?
She's our treasurer.
Oh boy, your finances are probably in terrible shape.
Well, I know, but you can read the numbers, but there's like lots of like other words next to them, like I hate coordinators, and why'd they blow up my dad?
Maybe that should be our clan for Gundam Battle Operation 2, Coordinator Watch.
Coordinator. It's just constant propaganda about how coordinators like have ugly faces and like they smell terrible. Yeah. What to do if a coordinator moves into your neighborhood?
Their moms dress them funny.
Yeah. What to do if your children start dating coordinators?
All right, everybody. Take care. Stay safe out there.
For the preservation of our blue and pure world.